James Watchalong inside, needs double A, and Jermaine Watchalong gets the double. It's a handshake from James Wade.
Back in then, players. He's found it right at the bottom of the double eight bed, and after trailing early on and looking in real trouble, Wesley Plazier of the Netherlands is through to round 2.
Double 16, double A, gets it, and he turns around. A warm embrace with Lawrence Ilagan, who wasn't at his best today.
Well, we've already brought you 2 days worth of fantastic darting action. We've already seen a seed depart in James Wade. How many more seeds might bite the dust before we reach the end of round 1 and indeed round 2? So what we've got for you today is 8 more matches from round 1 and round 2. Joining me in the commentary box to preview today's action, as always, our 2 PDC pros, Paul Nicholson and Chris Mason. Gents, how you doing?
Afternoon, Dance.
Yeah, great to be here once again.
So we need to talk about a couple of things from last night's action, because obviously the cricket was taking precedence here on talkSPORT 2, a Monday night game night on talkSPORT. We should first talk about the good, I think, and the good is the first 100 average of these championships. Connor Scott, a player who you both singled out as having a chance of going deep in this tournament, and he was brilliant.
Yeah, no, and no surprise, he was somebody we talked about on the first talkSPORT podcast we did, and he's a player that myself and Paul Nicholson have watched develop and progress and evolve over the last sort of 4, maybe 5 years since the introduction of the online live league. He was a massive part of that. Got his tour card. We thought he got his tour card a little bit too early. He got his tour card on pure ability, but lacked knowledge, lacked experience at the highest level. He's gone away and just got better, and he's come back. He's been a massive part of the Challenge Tour. He's got his tour card. Well, he's got his tour card via the ranking, never mind his Challenge Tour exploits. And yeah, what a performance from him. Looks so comfortable. He's just so much a better player than he was 12 months ago. It's been a brilliant year for him.
Nothing is an accident with Connor. He is so intricate. He's so knowledgeable. I love that word that Mace has just used, because 2 and a bit years ago when he got his first PDC Tour card, he was a bit green around the gills. But now, what we've seen from the experience of him having 2 years on the tour, and this year winning the Challenge Tour with supreme stuff and being one of the best players without a tour card, even getting to another final on the Pro Tour as well. What he does is he finds out what isn't working and he puts it right. And he doesn't go out into social media and send out any negativity, or he doesn't complain. This guy's got a work ethic that everybody can really admire.
Yeah, and this is a guy, Nico, that we do, well, we won't see as much as him down at the Super Series now, because obviously he's going to be on tour from January. But this is a guy that is creative. He has this thing, he wants to hit the ultimate 9, which is, for him, a 180, 3 treble 19s, followed by 3 balls. And he is gone, and it don't matter who if he hits the 180, he's down on the 19s, and it's not an arrogance thing. This is him challenging himself. He loves to challenge himself. And Nico's bang on the money. It's a work ethic, and he's setting himself challenges. But when he's in serious dart mode, what he produced last night is only the tip of the iceberg.
Well, listen out for that name as we go through these championships. Connor Scott, the sniper, but also, as Mace very cleverly referenced there, make sure you listen to our podcast, Aces and Arrows. The first episode is out with myself, Nico Mace, and Abigail Davis, and there will be further episodes on the next 3 Mondays for you to enjoy, where we will review and preview everything that's going on here at Alexandra Palace. It's called Aces and Arrows. You'll find it on the talkSPORT YouTube channel. Be delighted if you can give that a watch and give us your thoughts. It'd be fantastic. Now, the other headline from last night was the game between Leonard Gates, the soldier, and we thought the headline was going to be him arriving late from the States, but he got the job done, and in doing so, Cameron Menzies had a very awkward time up there on that stage in front of us. but we should contextualise what's been happening in Cameron's life, because a lot of people have been very quick, and I will include Simon Jordan in this, to jump on the, the not being particularly kind bandwagon.
Yeah, listen, playing in front of a crowd of this size and the volatility that comes with it is tough on its own. Playing in front of a hostile crowd that has that almost football-like, well, it's referred to as banter. It's far from it. It's more than that. I've had my pitching about it. With regards to Gerwen Price, if it was a person not from England and not white, there would be a different approach. Why that is, I do not know. Right? It is what it is. He's also going through a tragic, not necessarily, well, we hope not tragic. His father is seriously unwell in hospital after a really serious illness, and then you turn up for a match, you get abuse from those that you're trying to entertain, you miss loads of doubles, you lose a match that he probably felt like he should win, and listen, I've been there before. I've belly ached when I've gone backstage, because listen, there's many factors that upset you when you play sport, and listen, everybody shows their emotion in different ways. Some show it by aggression, some show it via tears. It's one of those things, but I think we live in this world where we go, oh, it's got to be mental health, and it's got to be. It's not. Nothing to do with it, right? He's just a sensitive lad that is feeling it at the minute because of his family issues at home, and it got the better of him.
Everybody shows emotions in different ways. We please all need to understand this, because you think about a similar player in Johnny Clayton, who was playing at the match play not 18 months ago.
Perfect example.
And his father was seriously, terminally ill, I'm afraid to say. Now, Johnny managed to find a way to navigate through the best way he could. And there is no exact science to this. And a demonstrative and emotional player like Cameron is far more likely to express those emotions on a stage. The Ferret just had a different way of bottling it up, and that's to his credit, but it's also to Cameron's credit that he gets emotional and then he gets castigated for it. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. We can say it, Mace and I, from our point of view, something very accurate, because we know Cameron. We know how emotional he is. I always say, if you aren't crying at the end of the World Championship, whether you've won or lost it, you haven't given enough. And Cameron gave everything he had last night. And I'm not going to take anything from anybody who doesn't know anything about Cameron Menzies, because a lot of those fans last night didn't know who Cameron Menzies was before he even made the walk-on. Simon Jordan doesn't know Cameron Menzies from anybody in this tournament, so he's got no right to an opinion. As far as I'm concerned, Cammy's a great guy. He goes up there, he gives everything. Last night, he gave more than everything he had. And yes, the exacerbated nature of the crowd booing him when he was on doubles, that stemmed from something that happened earlier in the day with Alan Souter, because the crowd were going for him from Scotland. There were so many different factors. As simple as you've got to know the story before you have an opinion.
Well, day 3 is about to get underway, and there's 8 matches to bring you. Let's get into the afternoon session that's about to get underway in the next 5 or 6 minutes, and by doing so, let's check out the odds with our good friends at William Hill.
In the Zone on talkSPORT 2 with official betting partner William Hill. Get epic value all season with William Hill. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Now, before we bring Ben Barrett in from William Hill, I don't know how Mace did on his ACCA from yesterday that you gave us.
We went close. We went close. The Menzies match was the one, because obviously Cameron's had such a good season that we did expect that to continue here, but obviously there was other things going on in his private life that we were unaware of before I tipped him up to win.
So, Ben Barrett, your money's safe from yesterday, from the clutches of Chris Mason.
It's not safe today, mate.
No,
it's not safe today.
He is very confident today. But let's go through the card, Ben, if you don't mind. We'll start with the Canadian Jim Long, who's come over here for his second World Championship stab, and he's taken on James Hurrell.
Yeah, I will say, me and Mace, we both got Watchalong absolutely spot on. Called that perfectly, Mace. Excellent stuff. In terms of that first game, James Hurrell is 8-15, whilst Jim Long is 6-4. James Hurrell did push Danny Noppert close in the Players' Champ finals not too long ago. I think it's right that he's the odds-on favourite there. We have boosted Hurrell to win the match, have the highest match checkout and most 180s. That is available at 7-2. Pushed out, but again, I think you can probably play 3-1, 3-2 there in favour of Hurrell, both available at 3-1.
There are a couple of women playing today. Noelyn van Leuven is the first of those. Fallon Sherrick is later this evening. Noelyn is taking on Kevin Doots for the right to face Michael Smith in round 2.
Yeah, and I know Kevin Doots is a very, very short price favourite here at 1-5, and probably rightly so. Of course, it was Doots against Michael Smith last year in the World Darts Championships as well. 1-5, Noelyn van Leuven is 7-2. I think this is another one to play the match treble in. Kevin Doots to win, highest match checkout, most 180s at 6-4. I've got a feeling that one might get a little bit short and sharp in the favour of Kevin Doots.
So king of the hockey then for Doots in that one. Joyce against Labanauskas is third up. Relentless Ryan against Labanauskas, one of the few players to hit a 9-darter on that stage in front of us, Ben.
Yeah, exactly. Ryan Joyce, again, short price there, a place against Danny Noppert in the next round on stake. Ryan Joyce is 1-3. Labanauskas 23-10. Again, that feels about right, but I don't think this is going to be short and sharp. My thoughts were to split the 3-1 and 3-2 again in favour of Joyce. I'll just about go 3-1 there, 2-1 in favour of Joyce.
And I'll bet it's tighter for this one. I don't know necessarily how to call this if Luke Woodhouse in round 2 plays well, up against a man who's won a major title this season in Mike De Decker.
It is close. It's maybe not as close as I was expecting, though. I thought we were going to see similar to what we saw with Wade and Watchalong. That was 4-5 even money. This is 4-11 towards De Decker, with Luke Woodhouse at 21-10. Woodhouse did pretty much nothing wrong against Lawrence Ilagan in that first round, and I do wonder if he'll take a leaf out of the book of Watchalong and think, well, I'm kind of already up and running here, and if he can catch De Decker cold, part of me thinks that Woodhouse might just be a touch of value at over 2-1. So I'm just going to go for a straight Woodhouse upset there, just like we saw with Watchalong last night.
Well, do you know what? Chris Mason was nodding his head at everything he said up to that point. His head stayed stock still there, Ben, when it came to that Woodhouse call. What's your racker today then, Mace? What are you going to take on Ben with?
Yeah, I like Hurrell to win. I'm a big fan and a good friend of Jim Long, and he's done some great things recently. 111 average signing off down at the Super Series. This is a different environment, and he's up against the guy that he's not going to get any rhythm against, James Hurrell, a very, very slow player, very deliberate. I don't think Jim Long's going to get in a rhythm, and what me and Nico learnt from that Super Series more than anything, he likes to play in a loop. So I'm going Hurrell for the win. Doots most 180s and win match against Noah. That's about 4-6. Joyce most 180s and win match against Labanauskas. I think it's going to have enough legs in it where Joyce will build up a head of steam and start to get some momentum and some rhythm in that match. And I like De Decker. I think he wins the match, and it's the most 180s against Woodhouse. Super impressed with Woodhouse yesterday, but had nothing. Listen, Ilagan just didn't turn up yesterday, and De Decker is on such a high, a major winner within the last few months. He's going to come here full of beans, and I think he'll just have too much of Woodhouse. I think Woodhouse will get something in the game. I don't think it's going to be
4 sets
straightforward.
Maybe, yeah.
4 or 5 sets. I think Ben's right. You can back him 3-1, 3-2 quite comfortably. So that pays just over 8-1.
8-1. All right, we'll see whether that comes off on day 3 for Chris Mason. Ben, thank you very much indeed. Ben Barrett was joining us there from William Hill. Get epic value all tournament with William Hill. It's 18 plus, please, and don't forget the website that you can check out for all the important information. That's begambleaware.org.
In the Zone on talkSPORT 2 with official betting partner William Hill, giving you the tools for positive play. Take time to think and know your limits. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
You're listening to coverage of the PDC World Darts Championship on talkSPORT 2 with Village Hotels. Dine out, stay, work out and play this festive season at one of 33 cracking UK locations. Many happy returns to Chris Mason.
Thank you.
Alongside us in the commentary box. We never remember his birthday. I feel
well, we're always at
particularly-
work, and I like to ignore it, which means if you don't really acknowledge it, it's not happened, so you don't get older.
That's right, so you can shave a few more years off for PR purposes.
Do you mind telling people how old you are? Because sometimes it sounds nicer in referee style, doesn't it?
55.
55.
Wow, there we are.
Don't feel a day over 54, to be honest.
No, you shouldn't. No, you shouldn't either. But it's great that you're here. I mean, you've spent all your birthdays here for goodness knows how long.
Yeah, well, throughout my sort of last 30 years of my life, it was all about being away, and if I was home on my birthday, it meant something went back drastically wrong. Hence, I didn't celebrate very many.
No, indeed. A quick word on Fallon tonight, taking on Ryan Meikle. Before we let you go, Mace, you know, the winner of that's got the potential to play Littler in what would be this extraordinary game.
My big concern from Fallon is the lack of hockey time. And again, what me and Paul have learnt over the years with regards to players like Fallon, if they're active, if they're on it, if they're playing competitions, playing at the Super Series, they're fine. Fallon is, if she's one that suffers more than anyone, I think, for the lack of hockey time. And I've had a dig around, and I'm sure Nico will elaborate, but she's not played a lot of darts lately.
Yeah, that's very fair. I've always said she needs reps more than most. And she gets reps at home when she's practicing with Cameron, and she does play a few tournaments, but not as many as she used to.
Well, maybe being back on that stage might inspire her later. We'll have to wait and see. Mace, thank you for the time being. Chris Mason will be back for match 2 this afternoon. That's Kevin Dukes against Noelin van Leuven, alongside Mark Wilson, who's with us today once again on commentary. But it's myself, Ian Danter, and Paul Nicholson staying with you. And you can hear John McDonald, the master of ceremonies at all the PDC major events. And he's about to welcome the first 2 players to the stage. And Paul Nicholson has just danced a little jig of joy because Jim Long from Canada is coming on to one of Paul's favourite songs. I assume it's one of your favourite songs.
I was talking about Jim around 2 weeks ago, and I think he listened. I said, if you don't walk out to this song...
And as usual, there's a full house, not a ticket to be had. We're on day 3, it's the afternoon session. And everyone's come in fancy dress, it seems. There's barely anybody in their civvies. It's amazing.
Seeing so many more players these days walking out to reggae tunes. Mike DeDecker will later this afternoon. Jeffrey Desvan will in this tournament. It's a new trend.
And Jim's on the stage. He's shaking hands with all the scorers and the team. Now he's playing a man from England who is inside the top 100 in the world. Won his tour card this year. It's his first year as a PDC pro. James Hurrell on his way to the stage.
And this is an epic walk-on song. He's always had it, and it's very, very popular with darts fans.
That's a bit of country. I'm trying to... Is it Dixie Chicks? No? Come on, you're going to have to help me here, Paul. I'm not sure.
Something to do with hillbillies.
Oh, right, OK. Something to do with hillbillies. It's a long name for a band, that. Anyway, James on his way to the stage. The dancing girls on the stage doing a bit of a hoedown. Hillbilly Rock by the Woolpackers. Oh, is that off Emmerdale? Wait a minute. OK.
Well, James lives in Gloucestershire.
Amos on backing vocals, is it?
I'm not sure what makes him a hillbilly, but he's always been Hillbilly Hurrell. But this is his debut at Alexandra Palace Dance.
Yeah.
He's been to quite a few Lakeside Championships, 4 in fact, over the last few years. But this is his first time here in his first year on the PDC circuit, and making Minehead at the end of November to get to the Players' Championship finals. He did that. Making the Worlds in your first year, that's what you need to do to have a solid base to start your PDC career. James has got experience. He's been a former WDF England captain. That is a prestigious honour. Now, in a singles environment, he's got to kick on.
By the way, thanks to our redoubtable producer Matt Gubbins for digging up the Emmerdale information. I remember it was Emmerdale Farm before they shaved off the farm from the title. So England against Canada will get us underway this afternoon on talkSPORT 2, your home of darts on the radio. Don't forget, if you've got any questions for Paul Nicholson or Chris Mason whilst the game's going on, if you use the hashtag darts on the radio on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, then we'll try and get to those questions and comments and help you out if there's anything you particularly want to know surrounding this championship especially, but in darts in general. Doots against Van Leuven, Joyce against Labanauskas, all in the first round, and the second round encounter between De Decker and Woodhouse will round off the afternoon session, and we'll bring you this evening's session too, in case you weren't aware, seeing as New Zealand got the job done inside 4 days against England. We are able to bring you the evening session in full from 7 o'clock tonight here on talkSPORT 2. Hugh Ware, our referee, is called for the start of the game, and Hurrell with the darts will get us underway with his own personalised Hillbilly Hurrell yellow darts flights, translucent yellow stems and ridged barrels, quite similar to Kai Gotthart's yesterday, those darts that sheared off, at least the one that sheared off midway through the game. Long with the maple leaf flights, as you might expect, coming from
60
from Canada, and he starts off with a steady 60. So we're underway for the afternoon session on day 3.
Yeah, Hillbilly Hurrell wearing a silver and electric blue shirt, very fetching. But apparently today, Dance, Jim Long is playing for Richmond FC with Ted Lasso as his manager, because he's wearing somewhat Crystal Palace style colours.
It is very, yes, red, blue and a little flecks of yellow. It is very Eagles.
41.
He's got 2 pink flights and 1 white flight in his 3, just to be a little bit different.
Yeah, he's always shown a little bit of patriotism with the Canadian maple leaf on his flights, but only in the last year or 2 has he started using 2 red flights and 1 white one, just to have a little bit of variety. Jim's had a really good season playing on the championship darts circuit in North America. He's won a couple of events, one in Wheeling, Illinois,
100.
and one at Niagara Falls, because they do have a pretty good dart scene on the border of the state of New York and into Ontario.
Wait a minute, Hurrell in for a 180, no, it ends up just being a 140. How do they do that inside? I can imagine the mist blowing across from the falls would make a right old hoo-ha if they were playing it there. So Hurrell down to 120,
67.
and a chance to take out this first leg with the darts. Long's way back on 233, so one of each on the 20s. Treble 20 hit, single 20 is hit, leaves tops for the leg. Great start! James Hurrell picks off 120. We saw Leonard Gates, the soldier, get his game underway yesterday with a ton-plus finish, and James Hurrell has started perfectly, the Hillbilly.
Yeah, James playing darts in that first leg of the contest like he's in a hurry,
99.
because what you're going to hear from James this afternoon on talkSPORT 2 is him leaving double top a lot. He loves that double, and when he's playing well, he hits it very effectively. This is a really good start from James. His first max. Yesterday afternoon, when we started our coverage of the PDC World Darts Championship, it took us 4 sets to get our first maximum yesterday afternoon. Here it's taken us 2 legs.
Well, James Hurrell did beat Luke Littler in a Players' Championship event in July. Lost to him twice as well across the year, we should mention, but anybody who gets the better of the Nuke the year that he's had deserves a little bit of recognition. And this is his first year as a tour card holder, the former WDF #1.
Yeah, that shouldn't be forgotten, the fact that he has reached the top of the rankings in the other big system.
100.
England captain, WDF world #1. But this year, the reason why he's in this tournament is because he made 3 quarterfinals in the floor events, the Players' Championship events.
59.
He got one in his very first event back in February, and then found another 2, but it's been a steady first season.
And he's lost to good players when he's got to those quarterfinals. Van Barneveld, Cullen and Littler are the players that have taken care of him when he's got to that stages. But he's in for another ton-plus checkout here against the darts in leg 2. 167 won't go though, as he's only hit small 20 with his first dart. Again, Long is way back,
42.
trying to find his form, the Canadian, early on in the piece. And he needs 224, trying to get down to a finish at least.
Yeah, Jim's struggling so far, not playing very well in the first couple of legs.
60.
He can play so much better than this, and you can't afford to give your opponent too much of a head start. 125 for Hurrell. He gets the outer bullseye, leaving 100. He doesn't get the treble 20 with dart 2. He's just short of that by a centimetre and a half. But leaving himself on 60 after that turn, it could give him a 2-0 lead if Long does not take out 164.
He's going downstairs looking for 6 treble 19s. He's got 3 of them. Oh, he hit single 3 looking for the second treble. And has to look up at the scoreboard and check to see where he wants to go next. He's back up at treble 20, pins that very nicely, so he's down to 44, but 20 for tops for Hurrell for a 2-0 lead.
Here he goes on tops again, this time slightly from the right-hand side of the oche. Had to move a little bit and pitches it perfectly. 2 shots at tops, 2 hits. He's probably more practiced on double top than most of the players in this tournament because he loves to leave it. 2-0 Hurrell in the first set.
Slightly above his seasonal average at the moment is James Hurrell, although he's dropped down to pretty much it's 91 for
41.
the year, and he's round about there now. Long is a good 15 points down on his seasonal average of 87. He did beat Michael Smith last year in the US Masters.
46.
That's the one that's at Madison Square Garden, isn't it?
Indeed it is, yes.
So he can raise his game and beat the very best, but not much big stage experience, I think it's fair to say, from Jim Long's point of view.
Yeah, he's been playing a lot of little stage stuff.
97.
Championship Dart Circuit stuff in North America, a lot of Modus Super Series over the last couple of years, and he's won a couple of Super Series titles, weekly titles at that, over the course of 2024. Went to 2 Champions Weeks, and he was at the Series 9 Champions Week very recently. He didn't make it through to the finals night on the Saturday, where, funnily enough,
60.
Darius Labanauskas won that Saturday night, and he's playing here this afternoon.
Third up this afternoon. Incidentally, the Modus Super Series, just in case you don't know, this is the tournament for non-tour card holders to get regular television experience. It's on Pluto TV, and there are most of the tournament is played without an audience, but when it comes to the weekly finals, there are Saturday night finals in Portsmouth with a crowd. So again, players just get used to the atmosphere. 174 hit from James Hurrell, covering on the 19s to get down to 129 to clean up this first set very, very quickly.
And now he's going to start on the 19s again, no matter what Jim does here. It's a very good 140 from the Canadian to leave 54. But if Hurrell gets another treble 19 start here, he'll have 72 left with 2 darts in his hand. First dart does find the treble 19. So it's 72 as he confirms with the Welsh referee Hugh Ware. How does he want to get it? He went for the treble 20, was short of it by a half a centimetre.
89.
So all he can do is lead tops again and hope he gets a shot with Long on 54.
14 for tops for the Canadian. 14 is hit. 2 darts at tops. Underneath, down for double 10. And he's inside double 10. Chance to win a leg gone. And therefore Hurrell's back in for the set on tops.
He's not going to miss this. Easy for me to say, but he hasn't missed it yet. Double top. He's missed it now. That was drastically underneath. However, double 10 is found. A great first set on the Ali Pali stage for Hillbilly Hurrell, who has the crowd on his side right now. They're loving his performance. The former England captain in the WDF system has won his first set on that stage on debut by 3 legs to 0. So as we go to our first break, it's Hurrell 1, Long 0.
talkSPORT 2, official broadcast partner of the Premier League and the EFL.
Okay.
A bit different, and I can go all the way, and 2025 is going to be good.
There's a lot of talk, obviously, about other players. It seems like you're going under the radar at the minute. Are you happy about that? Do you mind that?
To be honest, I don't mind. It's like, it's nice to be talked about. It's nice to be up there and say that you're one of the favourites to win. But if you're out of the limelight and not doing so much media, it can help as well. But yeah, maybe and hopefully in January I'll be doing a lot of media because I'll be world champ.
What would it mean to you to become a two-time world champion?
Yeah, it'd mean the world to me. You know, it's not just because I've won it before, but I won it without a crowd and behind closed doors. So to win it with a crowd and family there, and to be able to like sort of celebrate it, it'd mean the world to me. That's probably why I won it a little bit too much. But yeah, today was tough, but I think I'll get better as the rounds go on.
Okay, got to ask you about the crowd. How were they?
Yeah, I thought they were pretty good. Obviously in patches when you miss a couple of doubles or a couple of trebles and a couple of wayward darts, they're against you, but you know, that's just pantomime stuff. But yeah, it was brilliant, right?
So job done and move on till post-Christmas.
Exactly. Cook some Christmas dinner and hopefully cook up some good darts ready for the new year.
To Ian Danter and Paul the Asset Nicholson with you, and James Hurrell from England is 1-0 up against the Canadian Jim Long. Just a reminder of all the live sport we got coming up. Live darts this afternoon and this evening on talkSPORT 2 from day 3 here. Tomorrow is when the Carabao Cup quarter-finals kick in. Arsenal against Crystal Palace is on talkSPORT from 7:30 tomorrow, while Southampton-Liverpool is here on talkSPORT 2. Thursday night on talkSPORT, Tottenham against Manchester United, and we'll be here on talkSPORT 2 with the afternoon and evening sessions on day 5 of the PDC World Darts. And then on Saturday in the Premier League, wow, Aston Villa against beleaguered Manchester City is our lunchtime offering on game day, with Reshmi, Sam Matterface and Martin Keown, former Villa defender. Portsmouth Coventry at the same time here on talkSPORT 2, and I will be at Portman Road on Saturday. Ipswich can win away. Can they win at home against Paul Nicholson's beloved Newcastle United?
Well, that's the Bobby Robson derby, isn't it?
It most certainly is. There is a statue of Sir Bobby outside Portman Road. I will take a photo of that on my way in.
Thank you.
Before I'm working with Perry Groves and Faye Carruthers at Portman Road for that game. That's 3 o'clock here, talkSPORT 2 Saturday afternoon. But back to the matter in hand. Hurrell against Long here. And Hurrell suffering no nerves, it would appear, on his World Championship debut.
Well, what's really interesting to me, Dance, is the fact that James Hurrell has played 4 times at Lakeside in the old BDO World Championship. His best effort was the quarter-final back in 2022, which was subsequently won by Neil Duff. But James never looked comfortable playing at Lakeside. He looks infinitely more comfortable playing here, because that was my biggest worry this morning when James was gracing the stage for the first time. We saw with Wesley Plaisier yesterday, he was caught in headlights. James looked comfortable up against an opponent who's played here before, but Jim Long is not playing anywhere near his best here.
Wesley Plaisier was speaking to me and to you in our interview area backstage after he got through against Azimoto yesterday. And yeah, he admitted it, didn't he? Just said he was a bag of nerves. 100. Now maybe he's got that out of his system because he's playing Peter Wright tonight in the final match on of the evening session. And we know the problems that Snakebite has had this year on the tour. Jim Long, incidentally from Canada, had just popped in a 140, thought it was a 180 for a moment. Third dart just dropped above the red bit, but he's down on 2-4-1. He's started this set with the darts, but Hurrell is going to pop in a max. His second of the afternoon. And he's edged down to a 2-dart kill against the throw.
The Hillbilly has found some red gold right there.
60.
And no joy for long. Only 60 from that 2-4-1 position. Hurrell's got 98 to get his 4th consecutive leg in this match. Small 20s drastically missed that 60 low, but he's got the luxury of hitting 58 here, which he does with 3 singles to lead tops yet again.
181 for the Canadian. That's a good first dart, right in the middle of the treble 20. Follows it up with a single. He's staying up on the 20s. A 140 scored, so 9 for double 16 if he comes back. But Hurrell on his favourite double. He's missed it once though, just above by ½ centimetre. Pins it with the second dart, and that's a break of throw to start the second set for James Hurrell.
Let's start keeping a double top count for Hurrell, because that's 3 double tops from 4 legs won. Most of his work is done at the top of the board, and he is one of the most patient dart players out there. James Hurrell, a few years back, was at the point where he was so ill, he was in hospital when he was supposed to be going to Lakeside. Subsequently, he has come back from a very serious illness, but there was a time where he thought he would never throw darts or even compete at anything again. This will feel like a dream come true today.
Well, he's got himself more than an advantage here. 1 set up, 1 leg up in the second set, and a lovely 140 to get the second leg underway with the throw to back up that break. He's got those points on the darts with the ridges in them, which theoretically should rip the fibres out the board every time he takes the darts out, Whitlock style, but the board doesn't appear to be taking too much punishment. They change the board for every game here at Ali Pali. They've got a huge pile of those Winmore boards backstage. They sometimes change it halfway through a game, certainly when we get to the last stages.
Yeah, when we get to the semis and final, the games are so long that the players deserve a fresh playing surface around halfway through. But James's points look aggressive, but they're not to the degree where they will almost nip one, pearl one, as Chris Mason would say.
Yeah. I think back to Alan Evans winning the News of the World here back in 1977 when it was on World of Sport, and that, well, it's like a hedgehog had rolled round that board that was on the screens for about 10 minutes without being stopped. It was not in a good way. Dartboard technology, I think it's fair to say, has come on a tad.
Hasn't it just? These boards are made in Kenya, and they have a carbon fibre backing. They are full of tech. 110 for Hurrell, who is 1 set up, 1 leg up in the second set on talkSPORT 2, and he's within touching distance of being 2-0 up for the second consecutive set if he takes 110 out. Single 20 to start.
He went
for bull because he wants to lead tops every time.
Hit 19 instead. So 81 left. Went for treble 17, hit single 17.
James is the kind of player that never gets bored of doing the same thing over and over again. He's like Dustin Johnson at golf. Give me the driver. James Hurrell says, leave tops all the time, every time.
James, you've acquired 54.
So 54 for James Hurrell to go 2-0 up in this second set. 14 for tops it shall be. There's the single 14 hit. Tops just over the top, on the wire. It's a good marker. Just hesitates for a moment. And he's a bit further away with the final dart. So, a chance for Jim Long to break back here, Nico.
At long last, maybe, as he goes for 100. Small 20 now needs 2 double tops, does Jim. And he goes way over the top of the first one, meaning all he can do is hit 2 single 20s to leave 60. Hurrell is back on tops again. 3 darts in hand, only needs the 1, and is within 1 leg of being 2 sets to 0 up on the Canadian, who hasn't won a leg yet and has played nowhere near his best. I wonder if it's something to do with this place, because 6 years ago when he was here the last time, he beat Mickey Mansell in the first round. It was not a good game of darts.
100.
In the next round, he would subsequently lose to Benito van der Pas, but he plays so much better. He's never played anywhere near his best on this stage. I just wonder if This place has a funny effect on him.
We talk about it all the time, whether it's here or whether it's the Winter Gardens in Blackpool. Certain stages can have a funny effect on certain players, and they just become inhibited by that stage. Long is still plugging away though, and a good 140 from the Canadian at the start of leg 3 as he tries desperately to claw some respectability back to this scoreline. But Hurrell is in a hurry. Oh, 140 from him as well.
So disappointed with that 140. 2 prime shots at the top of that treble 20 bed from Hurrell. The third dart a good 1.5 centimetres below, but Long's on for a max. He gets his first, and he's got some fans out there with 180 signs aloft.
Well, don't blame the supporters. What they want is 4 long matches to give them value for money for their admission ticket. Hurrell has been bossing this so far, but he's way down in this leg. 261 less to visit, but that's another good 121. 140 left. Long wants 81. Treble 19 hit. Double 12. Go on, Jim. Oh, just inside. Double 6 to get a leg on the board. He's inside double 6.
He's left himself on double 3, which we call the trap door because there's trouble down there. 140 for Hurrell though, and it is for set number 2. First dart misses the treble 20 high, only just. So now he's looking to hit the ton to lead tops, which he does with Long on double 3, which is troublesome. He needs this, otherwise he might lose the set.
And he's inside, so 1 for double 1. That's all he can do. Hits the single 1. 1 at the madhouse. Gets it. Well done, Jim Long. Leg on the board. And a little rueful smile as the Canadian makes his way back to the rear of the stage.
Yeah, that's a really good result there for Jim. That was not an easy conversion at the end of that third leg of the second set. But what's really interesting is that earlier this year we had someone from the Championship Darts circuit come to the Motor Super Series, travelling from Portsmouth in America to Portsmouth in the UK to play. That's Stowe Bunce, who will be here in all of his glory in the next few days.
Oh yeah,
with his great wife Crystal, who is one of the most vivacious darts fans out there. However, we've got Jim Long, who's travelled from London, Ontario to London, England to play this one.
Maximum from Hurrell. Third of the match, and he's back in control of this fourth leg and a chance to go 2 sets to love up. It's a race to 3 sets, remember. 3 legs required to win a set. And that 180 set him up really nicely. 291 less this visit, but the first dart on this visit drops below the red bit and it kind of blocks the bed. He's got to come downstairs to the 19s. Picks off 4 of those. So not quite the follow-up he'd have wanted to the maximum. What can Long do here from 318?
He's going to need lots to get into the same vicinity as Hurrell. He can only muster 41 points, which is not enough. He leaves 277. Hurrell has 2 visits at the dartboard here at Alexandra Palace from 195 to take this second set and to have a 2-0 lead.
Again, 2 darts below treble 20. 65. That tricep muscle must be tightening a little bit for Hurrell. Went for the bullseye and hit 25. But he's down to a finish of 130. Wayward from Longs. He tries to come down from 277. He's looking at the 19s now at the bottom of the board and only hits 2 singles. Not happening in this leg for the Canadian, and he trudges away from the board. The body language not great.
The crowd are singing Michael van Gerwen. Well, the winner of this game actually plays MVG. 2 single 20s for Hurrell on the 130 effort. So he's got 90 left. He's going to go for the bullseye. 65. Only gets half of the bullseye, which leaves him 65. And because he wants to lead tops, he will go for the 25 again when he returns, with Long trying to chip away at that 234 that he's got left.
If it is indeed to be Hurrell who will face MVG in round 2, if the form continues as it has, his slow, methodical style of play does not match Van Gerwen's style. He's hit the 25, double top. Oh, he's a good 1.5 inches above double top with that dart, but he pins it with the third, and suddenly James Hurrell is 2 sets to love up and cruising through to round 2. A second set average just above his seasonal average, 93 in that. He's got 3 maximums to his name, and Jim Long of Canada has an awfully long way back. It's as long a way back as it is from London, England to London, Ontario for the Canadian. We'll play to a conclusion next on talkSPORT 2 here at the PDC World Darts Championships.
talkSPORT 2, official broadcast partner of the English Football League.
Thank you.
How many hours a day do you tend to practice, Michael?
Depends, but minimum 2 hours, 2.5 hours a day.
Wow.
You need to.
Yeah.
But not all the day. Sometimes I also have a family at home, but when you train, you have to train intensely on the right targets. You know what I mean? There's no point just throwing to the dartboard. You need to set yourself certain targets to make sure you're going to be a better player.
Do you have a coach? Do you ever have anybody kind of look at the way you're throwing?
Coach is a big word, but I speak a lot with Vincent van der Voort. He's a very good friend of me. He's knowledgeable. He's been on the tour for a long time, and we speak a lot.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
It's somewhat different, isn't it? Because I think when you look at it, you think, right, let's just go up, throw darts.
Yeah,
but obviously it's much better than that. But then just to see the tweaks that you have to change, I think he's somewhat for the average person doesn't understand that.
No, it's small pieces can be a massive impact on darts. Do you know what I mean? And for us, that's really important, and especially around the World Championship. You want to work on it. You want to turn up as good as possible.
Yeah.
They never made. You don't want to blame yourself for not doing something.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You have to do everything to perform as good as possible.
So I was going to say quarterfinals for you last year, wasn't it, Michael?
Disaster.
Yeah.
Disaster. How can I lose that? After that, he didn't win the game anymore.
Yeah. He lost to Luke Humphries next, didn't he? I think.
Yeah. Last year, I was in good shape. I played really well up till that game. Out of the blue, I didn't perform well. But that happened to me too often in the last 2 years. There, I played some couple of good games and then a big drop. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes you can't always find the answer, but at least you need to try to find one. That makes it a lot easier for yourself.
You've inspired a lot of people in Holland, and you've won the championship 3 times. And of course, we have Barney. So, is it big in Holland? The actual
live?
Of
course.
I'd imagine it would be.
Everything is live on television, so that's good.
World Darts Championship on talkSPORT 2 with Village Hotels. Dine out, stay, work out and play this festive season at one of 33 cracking UK locations. Coming up this afternoon, Kevin Doots against Noelin van Leuven for the right to face Michael Smith in round 2, the former world champion, and a player that Kevin Doots ran incredibly close on night 1 last year at these championships, only for Smith to prevail 3 sets to 2 in the end in what was a real nail-biter. Ryan Joyce, relentless, will take on a 9-dart hitter at these championships in Darius Lavanauskas in match 3. Those are all round 1 fixtures, and Mike de Decker, the number 24 seed and major winner this year in the Grand Prix, takes on Luke Woodhouse, who played very well in getting through yesterday in his first round encounter. But right now, James Hurrell of England finds himself 2 sets to 0 up against Jim Long of Canada in a race to 3. And he's just picked up his average that little bit better in the second set from the first, Nico.
Yeah, as he's raised his average by about a point, so has Jim Long. So in a strange sort of way, the second set was very similar to the first. Jim wasn't getting a great deal of chances at the outer ring or the bullseye. James was getting enough, because in the first set he was 3 from 4 on the doubles. In the second set he was 3 from 7. That is a really good conversion rate for the match, 55%. But he's looked in control, and that's the first time I've ever said that about Hurrell in a World Championship match. This is really good for him.
Yeah, he's looking very, very focused up there. And I will say, if it is Hurrell to face MVG, MVG won't like playing a player at this pace.
Let's face it, James has got a lot of experience, and he would relish playing the 3-time champion here on the stage after playing here for the first time and winning a game. He's still got more to do, But I attribute a lot of James's success over the last 18 months, not just to his renewed work ethic, but to his partner Suzanne Smith, who is a former female international herself. She knows a lot about how to get things done in the darting world, and they're a great team.
Well, James up there by himself at the moment, not needing any help to power on through at the moment. Into set 3 we go. Then Hurrell's got the darts as well, as he did in set 1. So he's got the advantage to try and clean this game up early doors. He's down at 220. 83 scored from Long. He's down to 218, just a couple of points ahead after 9 darts apiece. Hurrell, thick set with a crop of blonde hair, swept neatly to the side with his grey and blue dart shot on with the Hillbilly logo on the back.
And I think one of the reasons why he's called Hillbilly is because he looks very similar to an animated character from the old cartoon era, where he's got the very big jawline.
Like Deputy Dole.
Yeah.
Something, yeah. There's one for the teenagers. 137 for Hurrell. Treble 20 the first order of business. He's got that. Treble 19 would lead double 10. Single 19 hit, and he just oozed to himself as he missed that. But of course he set himself up on top to the single 18.
170 for Jim, and it's a long shot. But it's not going to be Jim Long taking what we call the big fish check out of 170.
58.
All he can do yet again is find a treble-less visit of 58. He's got twice as many treble-less visits as James Hurrell, who has tops and takes it once again for a 1-0 lead in the third set. He's within 2 legs of the next round, where Michael van Gerwen is waiting in the 4th game on Friday night. Can you imagine playing Friday night here against MVG at Christmas time? What a dream come true that'll be for somebody.
133.
It's edging towards Hurrell, that's going to have that privilege. You'll hear that game live here on talkSPORT 2 as well, right at the end of Friday evening. Can't wait for that. We were talking the other day about players' expenses and how much they earn for getting to this stage. I'm thinking particularly those who've travelled such long distances, and you wonder how much of the £4,000 or so that Jim Long's going to get for this is going to go on his airfares and hotels. And
well, he's earning £7,500 for this round. However, as an overseas player, he's automatically deducted 20%, so he loses 1,500. 6,000, then he's got to pay his expenses and other taxes. It's a long way to come, but it's all about the opportunity of doubling the money from round 1 to round 2. And travelling over the Atlantic is not a big thing for Jim because he does it a lot. He's probably got more air miles than Richard Branson.
Down on 174, not quite on a finish here, Long, but Hurrell's way back, as it turns out, in this leg. 341, but a lovely first dart right in the corner of the treble 20 with bags more room for a couple more. Not quite with the third dart, pulled it down into single 20.
He was leaning on that third dart as well, which is a common fault of top dart players when they feel a bit tense. Long on 174, again comes up with a treble-less visit, this time of 40, using the northern portion and the southern part of the board. So he's on 134. Hurrell on 201 here. Could find himself in a good position if he finds a treble 20 with the last dart. Has to squeeze it in between the 2 he's got in there already.
60.
Can't do it. All he can leave is 141.
Jimmy require 134.
We heard it called from Hugh Ware there, what Long needs. Treble 20 would be the first part of the treble. Actually, he went for 18s and hit single. Treble 19, so he can lay it up for a double finish now. Single 19 hit, nicely done. He's on tops.
141.
Lots of people standing up if they love the darts, and they really do love it. Only a small 20 for Hurrell, trying to get 141, but 80 points with the first 2 is a good sign. He might go for treble 7 here to try and leave double top. Well, on this occasion, he went for the 25 to leave double 18. But Long's on tops to level in set number 3. Just above tops. It's a perfect marker for the Canadian. He goes further away with dart 2. Third one nestles next to it, just above tops again. So Hurrell could be 2-0 up, 2 legs up in the third, and Jim Long at the minute is coming up very dry.
I don't know if Hurrell's gone for any other doubles other than 20s and 10s so far. He's pinned 18s there with 1 dart, so he's just as adept at that double. 62% for his finishing. 8 completed from 13 attempts on double. That's World Championship standard.
Yeah, and when you consider the steadiness of this performance, he has not deviated from a world-class doubles percentage and a very steady 93 average this entire match. But if you look at his darts flying through the air, they do so with such grace. They're spinning at such a lovely rate. It's not too fast, not too slow. It's like Nancy Kerrigan doing a triple Lutz. It's a gorgeous thing to watch.
You wonder whether a 62% double percentage and a 92 average would cause MVG problems in a 5-set encounter in round 2.
Years ago, we'd say absolutely not. Nowadays, based on the timing of said finishes, if you're having 62% and a 93 average, it could cause Michael problems.
So he's got this leg, James Hurrell, to win, to go through. 3 sets to love. He's 2 legs to love up in this third set. Just admonishing himself, he doesn't feel that visit was what it should have been. What are you grinning at, Nico?
He's always working hard as Hurrell. He loves the challenge of what he's doing at the minute. This whole PDC experience is new to him in the last year or two, and he smells an opportunity here. He's within 316 points of winning this match in the afternoon session, and then looking forward to that match with MVG. He expects big things from himself, but this might be one of the most valuable wins of his career if he just rubber stamps it over the next few minutes.
Sometimes that first year as a PDC Tour card holder can feel pretty lonely and feel pretty sparse for someone new, but Hurrell's acquitted himself well at this senior PDC level, having come across from the WDF, where he was the #1 ranked player in that organisation.
He's 40 years of age now, is James Hurrell, who is spraying the darts left and right here. He might be someone who finds his best darts in his 40s. He acknowledges that he's just hit 26 there with a single 20, a single 5 and a single 1. That's what we call bed and breakfast in darts, because bed and breakfast rooms used to be 2 and 6.
194 for Hurrell. It's not a finish, but he'll get down to a finish almost certainly, definitely now, with a treble 20 he felt he should have hit last time. He's hit a second, so he's thinking, do I go for 3? No, he's coming downstairs for treble 14 and hit single. So he's down to 20 and tops for the match.
It's amazing how he's had his worst visit of the match followed by one of his better approaches.
62.
But this might be a situation where Hurrell wins this game in legs by 9 legs to 1, because this is for the match.
20 for tops. James Hurrell on his favourite double. 1 dart left in hand. Actually comes way down underneath it. That's 2 match darts missed. He'll be back for double 10 though, because Jim Long is way back on 219 points. Nowhere near a finish.
Yeah, Jim's going to be devastated with this performance. He's not played well, but Hurrell has maintained a really good level of play, both on scoring, approach play and doubles through this entire game. He only needs double 10 to win this one by 3 sets to 0. He misses it just 1 centimetre right. Then he goes left on the hockey to try and find it. He goes too far left on the shot. Now it's double 5. And he's missed it high. That means that 5 match darts have been missed. Long is still in there.
120 required for the Canadian. He's hit the treble 20. Single 20 leaves tops. Just halts for a moment. Single 20 hit, blocking the bed a bit, but he's still got a dart at tops. Underneath, single 20 again.
5 match darts missed for Hurrell so far, and now he's on double 5, which he misses just high. Second dart is a lot closer. He's got 1 left to win the match, and that's the one that gets him over the line. In his debut year as a PDC Tour card holder, James Hurrell has won in his debut match at Alexandra Palace. The former England captain and former WDF #1, Hillbilly Hurrell, has won by 3-0.
And that means on Friday night, he gets the honour of taking on the 3-time world champion Michael van Gerwen on that stage to round off the evening session. He will very much be looking forward to that. And if he maintains the finishing 43% on his doubles, that is very much the highest class standard, he will give Michael van Gerwen something to think about.
He will, because the majority of that game he was 5 points better than that. The only reason his percentage on doubles came down and his average came down is because he missed 7 match darts before he got over the line. James will very much value that, because he was the favourite going into that game, and now in the same way that Wesley Plaisir found things after yesterday's game with Azumoto, now the pressure's off and it's all on MVG.
Well, next up on stage, Battle of the Sexes, it's Noelin van Leuven against Kevin Doots for the right to face Michael Smith in round 2. Chris Mason and Mark Wilson will join you on commentary here at Alexander Palace. Still to come after that, Ryan Joyce against Darius Labanauskas, and Mike De Decker, major winner this year, the 24th seed, taking on Luke Woodhouse. So we've got your afternoon of live sports sorted right here on your home of darts on the radio. talkSPORT 2, keep it here.
This is talkSPORT
2. Where you just look carefree, and I only want to know is, has that always been your personality? Is that, have you been all the time, or is it just something that with all of this madness you've just gone, I'm just going to be me through it?
I do myself, keep myself to myself. In a practice room, I don't really speak to anyone. Obviously, I'll let on to a few people. Obviously, I'll sit with a few players who are on the same management team as me. But it's just keep myself to myself, and obviously with all the media stuff, and I'm just keep myself to myself.
Yeah, that can't be easy though, because everybody wants a piece of you, expecting to do lots of promotional stuff, and life obviously is very different from it was last year. But to keep grounded, to keep playing your game, and to keep winning the way you have is a sort of testament, really, to your attitude.
Yeah, well, like I said, promotions and stuff. My manager, he'll sort everything out. But yeah, I'm just myself.
Can you still enjoy playing as much as you did? Because obviously you wouldn't have got to the level you did so young. I mean, you still get the fun aspect of it. What does it feel like, work?
Yeah, it's just my first year, and what I've done, it's incredible. But also it is work. Obviously, there's money to be made, and also there's titles to pick up.
What does the end look like? I don't want to talk about that because you are a year in, but you know, like, everyone comes into it with aspirations, don't they? What does a good season look like for you?
Well, at the end, I've said I want to win every major title once.
Brilliant.
Tick everything off. So Premier League and Grand Slam's already ticked off in my first year.
You'll be done by 20.
Yeah, people are going on. Been talking about Phil Taylor's record of 16 world titles, and there's a lot to beat. So if I'm in the game for long enough, maybe, but I can't see myself winning 16.